Hey there. You have found the continued memoirs of Lambdog76, my digital trials and tribulations of 10 years on YouTube. The next part in the history of my being on here is something that I want to make sure that I'm able to dedicate the attention and respect to it that it deserves. Because honestly, there's two parts in my YouTube career that have me really having the time of my life. The first is when I begin the channel and working with Vince, and anything's possible, and we're exploring how to do videos and showing the things that we feel other people aren't demonstrating, and just having a great time. Just a couple of friends playing, and Vince ended up getting activated and deploying to Iraq, and then redeploying to Iraq, and then that really changed the nature of this channel. But all along, we weren't trying to stay so reliant on just shooting content or outdoorsy content. We really did want to explore a philosophy type approach, philosophy and freedom, and really for me, and it was Pop's Quest, also known as Pop's Cabinet Shop. I don't know if he wanted me to dime him out like that. I thought that this would be an interesting journal for my daughter to see. You know, who is your dad? What made up his character? What's he all about? And you're not going to get that just by seeing how good I can shoot or having me review the latest man purse. It doesn't quite work that way. You really got to talk about things, because say take my dad. I love my dad dearly, but there's things that I would love to hear him talk about, just in detail, just to hear the process, you know, what really made him tick. Same with my grandpa. So originally, I figured it would be cool to have that as part of the channel. Of course, as my waning popularity will testify to, having a potpourri mishmash of a channel isn't the recipe for viral popularity. You know, I had moments of possible popularity that, you know, because of my varied interests and because of Vince's varied interests, we never capitalized on one single segment. Now, of course, fast forward to today, that's working out pretty good, because I have a backup amount of content that allows this channel to keep on going regardless of what YouTube wants to restrict, you know. So the gun content and everything else, it's like I wouldn't really say it's a secondary thing, because it is sort of the backbone of the channel, but there's enough alternative content that it's able to continue. And that alternative content, the bulk of it was produced in this particular time that we're talking about. That is my time with the pseudo-intellectual philosophical group known as the Sewing Circle. Super interesting people. And we talked a little bit about Shall Not Be Infringed last week, briefly. And he'll come back into play here shortly. But this week I want to talk about the people who were fascinated with the end of the world, specifically like the doomers, and how they were so certain about the direction of this country, and they would use words like implosion and collapse, and, you know, fear sells. And when I say sell, we're not talking about just money. You know, people, there is a little bit of money involved, but it's more than money. You know, seeing those views is very addictive. It really clicks onto your psyche. It's really where the juice is at. And you combine that with a little bit of money, and there's what you got. What's crazy too, around that time, and I'm just going to put this as an aside, everybody had a big problem with e-begging. You know, anybody that had like a PayPal link on their main page it was like, oh my God, what's the matter with you, you beggar? You know, it was interesting how that was scoffed at, and I don't know if it was a matter of jealousy. It's something I never did, but you know, I'm lucky enough, or I've been lucky enough to be in the position financially to where I didn't really need to rely on it. So these doomers have these videos, and what's interesting about the subject of the end of the world is it really makes a person who's willing to think, it really makes a person evaluate what's important, what it takes to run a society, what it takes to establish a defense of a community, the sustaining economy. And that's where the sewing circle, I feel, really shined, because we were bouncing these ideas back and forth, and it was really wonderful to have these conversations with people that it'd be difficult to meet in real life and have this type of friend. You're talking 1 in 1,000, if not 1 in 10,000. You're not going to have us all on a school bus. It's going to be one person out of your group of friends of 1,000 that you're lucky enough to be able to just sit down and listen and hash out things philosophically. But that is that. We'll be getting into it more here soon. And till next time, talk to you soon.